Just as I was about to settle into the creaking chair beside Evan's server bank, my phone buzzed sharply on the desk beside me. I flinched, the vibration loud in the silence of Evan's cluttered den. The screen lit up with a familiar name, Detective Cross. My breath hitched in my throat. Before answering, I turned to Evan. "It's Detective Cross," I said. "She's been on the case since the night Francesca died." He stopped typing. "You going to answer?" I nodded slowly, then tapped the screen. "Detective Emma," Cross's voice came through, clipped and urgent. "Where are you?" "I'm at a friend's place," I said cautiously, casting a glance at Evan. She didn't miss the hesitation. "I need to see you. Immediately. It's urgent." I covered the mic and looked at Evan. "She wants to come see me. But I haven't told her anything about you. I don't know if you want a detective in your space." Evan raised an eyebrow, already hearing everything. After a pause, he gave me a slow nod. "It's okay. Give her the address." I returned to the call. "All right. I'm at 113 Carver Street. Apartment 4B. You'll have to buzz up." "I'm on my way," Cross said. "Emma," her voice softened. "It's about Sam. We found him." My stomach dropped. "Found him? What do you mean you found him?" I whispered, barely able to hear myself. "He's dead." The world seemed to stop spinning. My knees gave way and I sank into the chair like my spine had vanished. No. How? "We believe it was suicide. No foul play. But you'll need to come in to confirm some things. I'll explain everything when I get there." Tears spilled without permission. Even after everything, even after what he tried to do, the news shattered something deep inside me. I hung up without another word and buried my face in my hands. That final knot between us, good or evil, was severed. I didn't even hear Evan walk over until I felt his hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry," he said simply. I nodded into my palms. "He was a monster," I choked out. "But he wasn't always. He was my husband, Evan. He held our daughter when she was born. He made my coffee every morning for years. I don't even know when I stopped recognizing him." "You don't have to explain," he said gently. There was a knock at the door not 10 minutes later. Cross stepped inside, still wearing her long coat, eyes heavy with fatigue. Her gaze softened when she saw me, my tear-streaked face, my slumped shoulders. "I'm sorry," she said simply. I nodded and waved her inside. "Sit down," I said. "There's something you need to see." She arched an eyebrow but did as asked. I gestured to Evan. "This is Evan." Then I pulled the flash drive from my jacket pocket and set it on the table. "I found this in a box of tapes Sam kept at the lake house." I wasn't even sure what it was at first. But Evan decrypted it. "And what we found, Cross, it's bigger than just Sam and Francesca. There's a man named Adrian. He's been watching me for over a year." Cross's expression sharpened. Evan turned to his screen and began flipping through windows. The surveillance folders, the voice logs, the encrypted files with Adrian's voice calmly analyzing me like a lab rat. "And that's not all," I added. Evan found a live stream from my own house. Adrian was watching me through a hidden feed. Watching Callie's house too. Watching Lana. Cross stood, mouth slightly parted. "Jesus Christ. He's still watching," Evan said. "Or at least he thinks he is." I replaced the real feed with a dummy loop. "Right now he thinks Emma's curled up on her couch reading a book." Cross looked at me, disbelief slowly melting into understanding. "You want to bait him?" "Yes," I said. "I want to draw him out. Make him think I'm falling apart. Make him think I'm predictable again. Then when he gets close enough, we trap him," Cross finished. I nodded. "But I can't do it alone. I need help. From both of you." Cross crossed her arms. "What exactly do you have in mind?" We spent the next 2 hours working through every detail. Evan broke down Adrian's surveillance habits. How often he checked the streams, the known IP points he bounced from, the patterns of his access. Cross relayed what they knew about Adrian on their end. Sealed juvenile records, offshore accounts tied to shell companies, possible mob ties, and a personal connection to Francesca that had never made it into her file. Then we started plotting. I would return to my home tomorrow. Callie would be safely off-grid with Lana. Evan would adjust the dummy feed to include staged breakdowns. Me crying, staring at old photos, even leaving out a bottle of wine and pills. I hated the idea, but it had to be convincing. And most important, Cross would be nearby. Waiting. Watching. As the night wore on and the plan solidified, a strange calm settled over me. Sam was gone. But Adrian wasn't. And this time I wouldn't be waiting to die. This time I was hunting back. By morning, the calm I'd felt the night before had drained, replaced by a crawling unease. The kind that coils behind your ribs and presses on your lungs. It wasn't just the act of returning to the house. It was everything that came with it. The memories. The betrayal. The invisible eyes that had once tracked my every movement. Callie had already taken Lana to a safe place. Somewhere remote. Somewhere even I didn't know. That was Cross's idea. To protect both of us from being leveraged. As long as Adrian believed Lana was still at Callie's and I was broken, confused, alone, he might get sloppy. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror of Evan's apartment. No makeup. Pale lips. Messy hair. Red eyes that hadn't slept. In short, I looked exactly like the woman Adrian expected to see. Perfect. Evan handed me a pair of small mics and a pin camera disguised in a button. We'll patch you in from my place. Cross will have a feed in her van. You won't be alone even if you feel like it. I took them with a nod, swallowing back the nervous lump in my throat. Do you think he'll bite? I asked. Evan's face was unreadable. He's obsessive. He's delusional. And most importantly, he thinks you're still afraid of him. That's exactly what makes him reckless. And if he doesn't show? Then we draw him out another way, Cross said, entering from the back room. She was dressed in street clothes now, jeans and a weathered leather jacket, but the detective never really left her posture. But let's give him a chance to make the first move. We left Evans around 10. The drive to my house felt like reliving a nightmare in slow motion. Everything outside the window looked smaller than I remembered. Muted. My hands trembled the closer we got, the air growing thicker as if the street itself remembered. When we pulled into the driveway, Cross parked down the block in an unmarked van disguised as a local utility vehicle. Evan's text streamed to her screen in real time, and she promised to stay on comms the entire time. I stepped out slowly, keys tight in my fist, and walked to the door. From the outside nothing had changed, but I had. My fingers hesitated over the lock before I pushed it open. The silence inside was suffocating. I stepped in slowly, the dummy cam already running, sending a loop of a previous day's footage to Adrian's feed. On screen, me walking in, dropping my bag, curling up on the couch and staring blankly at a photo of Sam and Lana from 2 Christmases ago. I made sure to mimic it exactly. Dropped the bag. Sat in the same spot. Held the frame in my hands. Then I added what Evan called the performance. I let my shoulders fall. Let my breathing go shallow and uneven. I even let a few real tears fall. That part wasn't hard. All I had to do was remember Sam's laugh. The way his voice once softened when he said my name. The sound of Lana calling him daddy when he kissed her goodnight. I heard the calm in my ear crackle. You're doing good, Cross said. Just breathe. I nodded slightly and glanced toward the hallway, where it had all begun. Where I had found Francesca's body. Where I had almost died. Hours passed like fog. Cross remained in my ear, checking in every half hour. Evan was monitoring IP traffic and waiting for Adrian to log into the feed. Nothing yet. I reheated a bowl of soup. Didn't touch it. Took a shower. Sat in the dark. Just past 6 p.m. Evan's voice came through. He's online. My blood turned to ice. Repeat, Adrian just pinged the dummy feed. He's watching. I sat back on the couch, pulled the blanket up and stared ahead. Just as the loop suggested. Stay calm, Cross instructed. We don't move until we have a physical location. My heart pounded like a drum inside my chest. And then something strange happened. A knock at the door. 3 slow raps. I froze. Cross's voice was immediate. Emma? Who's at the door? I don't know, I whispered. The knock came again. I rose slowly, every instinct screaming not to go near it. Cross was already moving. Don't open it. We're coming in. I backed away. But as I did, a small envelope slid under the door. White. Just like the one I received 2 days before Francesca died. Cross, I whispered. He was here. She and Evan were inside 5 minutes later. Gloves on. Gun drawn. No sign of Adrian anywhere. Cross-examined the envelope without opening it. No prints. Just like last time. But it means he was close. Probably watching from somewhere nearby. I nodded, but my mind was already racing ahead. He was getting braver. Sloppier. Evan scanned the perimeter and found the camera had been tampered with briefly. A 30-second glitch in the feed. Long enough for Adrian to get close, drop the envelope and vanish. We hadn't caught him. But we were getting close. Next time, I said aloud, staring out at the darkness beyond the porch, I won't be the one left watching. I stood over the kitchen counter, the envelope resting in front of me like a snake ready to strike. Cross and Evan had already dusted it for prints. Nothing. No smudges, no residue. It was white, clean like the last one. Handwritten in red ink across the front. For Emma. Even seeing my name written like that made me feel like I was being watched. Cross leaned in beside me. You don't have to open it if you're not ready. I'm ready, I said, though the tremor in my voice said otherwise. I peeled it open carefully. Inside was a single photograph and a folded sheet of paper. The photograph made my heart skip. It was a shot of Lana, taken from a distance, blurry but unmistakable. She was at a park holding Callie's hand mid-laugh. The image had been taken within the last 24 hours. I felt my knees buckle slightly. Evan caught my arm. He knows where she is, I said, almost choking on the words. I never told anyone where Callie took her. Not even Cross until today. Cross's eyes narrowed as she took the photo and studied it. This wasn't taken by a drone. This is too clean. He's close. Very close. I unfolded the note next. It was short. You've always looked beautiful in grief. But you should have stayed quiet, Emma. Now it's her turn. Tell the truth, or I start playing my own game. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. What truth? I whispered. Evan was already moving. We need to check Callie's place. I can deploy a geofence on the area. If he's near, he won't stay hidden for long. Cross was already calling backup. We'll have patrol cars sweep the neighborhood. I'll head there now myself. I felt a rush of guilt. He must have followed me. Or, he was already watching her before. Cross paused. Emma, was there ever a time, before all this, when Adrian might have had access to your home or personal files? Calendars, photos, anything with routine? I shook my head. Then paused. Wait. I turned to Evan. The old iPad in the kitchen drawer. It wasn't syncing to anything, or so I thought. But I had old pictures of Lana on there. Birthdays. Days out. Maybe even old texts with Callie. Cross cursed under her breath. That's all he needed. He doesn't need today's location, just a pattern. My head spun. Everything was unraveling faster than we could patch it back together. And now Lana was in the line of fire. We regrouped an hour later at Evan's apartment. Callie had moved Lana again, this time under a different name, with Cross arranging a protective detail. It wasn't just about shielding her now. It was about baiting Adrian into making a mistake. But something still gnawed at me. His note, tell the truth or I start playing my own game. What truth? I thought. About Sam? About Francesca? About the poisoning? Cross noticed my silence. What is it? I don't know, I said, shaking my head. I feel like I'm missing something. Evan pulled up a map on his screen. Dozens of red pins clustered around our known sightings and data points. Adrian was circling me. Watching. Taunting he wanted something. He's escalating, Cross said. The envelope is a move. The photo is leverage. The note is a warning. I rubbed my temples, heart still hammering. And what happens when he stops warning? Evan's voice was flat. Then we're already too late. That night I barely slept. I lay on the couch in Evan's den, staring at the ceiling, the photograph of Lana on the side table beside me. She was smiling in it, completely unaware that the world around her was full of shadows. A mother's worst nightmare wasn't losing her child. It was watching the threat get closer and feeling powerless to stop it. Thought of Sam. Of his death. Of his hands shaking in the video when he poured the wine. Was it guilt? Or fear? Or both? Why did Adrian matter so much to him? Why was Sam so willing to turn into someone else? Questions. So many questions. And I had a sinking feeling that the answers weren't going to come gently. The morning sunlight filtered through Evan's blinds, but the warmth did nothing to soothe the chill running through my veins. I hadn't slept, not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lana's face in that photograph again. That frozen moment of joy twisted into something else entirely. A threat. A target. Evan was already hunched over his rig of monitors when I stepped into the room. He looked like he hadn't slept either, a coffee mug steaming beside him, fingers flying across the keyboard. Streams of code reflected in his eyes, and the familiar hum of processors filled the room like a second heartbeat. He glanced at me without turning his head. "You're up." I crossed my arms. I wasn't really down. He nodded. "Same. What are you working on?" He leaned back and pointed to a grainy video feed on one screen. Our living room, the same dummy loop he had rigged Adrian to watch. But next to it, another window showed scrambled data. "Late last night," he said, Adrian pinged the system. Not just to check in. He tried to run a new file through the feed. Buried in the static. It didn't show visually, but the audio data changed. He clicked and a waveform loaded on the screen. A wall of jittery frequencies. He hit play. At first it was nothing. Just white noise. The hiss of static like an untuned radio. Then buried beneath, something emerged. A voice. Warped, distorted, but human. "She doesn't know everything. And if she ever does, it'll destroy her. Just like it destroyed him." I stepped back, heart lurching. Evan paused it and looked up at me. "It's not Adrian," I whispered. "That voice, it's not him." He nodded. I thought the same. I ran it through a spectrograph and filtered the distortion. The voice print doesn't match Adrian's. But it does match someone else. He pulled up another file, a police interview recording from months ago. A man sobbing softly, words slurring. "My husband." Hearing it again now hit me like a punch to the chest. If she ever does, it'll destroy her. I sat down hard in the chair next to Evan's. What did he mean? I asked aloud, more to myself than to Evan. What didn't I know? "That's the question," Evan said. "I don't think Adrian's working alone. I think someone else was part of this long before the anniversary night. Someone Sam was afraid of." Cross arrived moments later after Evan looped her in. She came through the door in plain clothes, but her expression was all business. We played the audio again. She listened, her jaw tightening, then crossed her arms. "I'm pulling every file from Sam's closed cases. His business partners. His financial records. Anyone who could be involved." I spoke slowly, thinking out loud. Sam was already being manipulated by Francesca. But what if she wasn't the end of the chain? Cross's gaze darkened. "Then we're chasing more than a bitter ex-lover or a corrupt brother-in-law. We're looking at an entire operation." "Organized crime?" Evan asked. "Possibly. Or something more insidious," Cross replied. "Either way, we're tightening the noose. This voice drop proves they're watching us, and now they're getting sloppy. That's our opening." We spent the rest of the day locked in Evan's apartment, plotting our next move. Evan built a decoy, a short clip of me and Cross discussing giving up, hinting that I was preparing to confess to police. It would be broadcast live on the loop Adrian was watching. A trap disguised as surrender. "You're setting a landmine," Cross told Evan. "Exactly," he said. "If he buys it, he'll react. Maybe try to contact Emma again. Maybe reach out to whoever else is helping him." I watched my own face on the screen, pre-recorded, tired, broken, a woman with nothing left to lose. But I wasn't that woman. Not anymore. That night, just after 9, the trap was set. And at 9:14 p.m., Adrian took the bait. The live feed glitched. Just once. Barely noticeable. But Evan caught it. "He's in," he said, eyes locked on the data. "And he's responding." A new file began downloading into the dummy server. This time it was a video. We stared as the screen opened. Dark room. A chair. A man with a hood over his head. Then a voice, the same one from the audio. "If she wants the truth, she'll come to the place where it all began." The screen cut to black. The cabin. It had been years since I'd even thought of it. A modest, tucked-away getaway Sam and I had bought when we were still newlyweds, full of wild dreams and trust. Back when I believed in anniversaries and promises. The cabin was nestled in a forgotten corner of Pine Hollow, an overgrown, dead-end stretch of forest where signal barely reached and no one went without purpose. That was exactly why they chose it. Evans turned away from the dark screen after the cryptic video faded. That location mean anything to you? I nodded slowly. My pulse roared in my ears. It's ours. We used to go there in the fall. Sam called it our world untouched. I haven't been there in 7 years. Cross leaned in. That's where he wants you to go. That video was meant for you. I stared at the monitor, the grainy image of the hooded man etched in my mind. It's bait. It's more than bait, Evans muttered, his fingers typing furiously. It's emotional warfare. He's pulling at memory, at connection. Trying to manipulate your movements. But we're not going in blind, Cross added. We'll do this right. Controlled. We trace every possible route in and out, we mask your signal, and we plant eyes in the trees before you even step out of the car. I glanced at Evans. What about Lana? Still under Callie's care, he said. Safe. We checked in 10 minutes ago. I nodded, exhaling. I was about to walk into the heart of whatever remained of Sam's lies, and all I could think of was my daughter's smile, her small hand curling around mine in sleep. I had to live for that. I had to come back. We left at dawn. Cross followed in a separate vehicle, her team trailing farther behind to avoid detection. Evans drove, a quiet focus set into his jaw. I clutched the drive that contained everything. The dummy footage, the intercepted files, the distorted audio clip of Sam's voice. If I didn't make it back, Cross would have it all. The road twisted with memory. Leaves bled amber across the asphalt. Every mile closed a chapter one never wanted to reopen. Every tree we passed whispered secrets I didn't want to hear. By the time we pulled into the gravel drive, the place looked abandoned. The porch sagged. Ivy had begun eating away at the shutters. But the car parked behind the shed was fresh. But expensive. Clean. Evans cut the engine. We're here. Is he watching now? He checked the mobile feed, encrypted and bouncing through multiple proxies. Not from the dummy loop. He's shut out. But if he's got another angle, a drone, a hidden camera here, we won't know until we flush him out. Cross's voice crackled through the comms. You're clear to move. My team is surrounding the perimeter. Stay close. No surprises. I opened the door and stepped out. Every sound, a bird in the trees, a rustle in the brush, felt too loud. Or too quiet. The wind smelled like pine needles and mold. I pushed through the overgrown grass and climbed the porch steps. The door was slightly ajar. Evans took out a small device and scanned the entry. No wires. No trip. But it was definitely left open for you. I swallowed and stepped inside. The cabin hadn't changed. Our photo, me and Sam on our wedding day, still sat tilted on the mantel. The kitchen table was dusty, but the chairs were exactly where we left them. And on the floor in the center of the room was a wooden box. Unmarked. I crouched and lifted the lid. Inside were VHS tapes. Dozens. All labeled in Sam's handwriting. Bedroom, June 14th. Bathroom, July 3rd. Basement, August 21st. I felt sick. He filmed me, I whispered. All those years. Even here. Evan's face turned pale. Cross entered quietly behind us. This wasn't just about money. This was control. Obsession. I lifted one tape and turned it over. There, barely visible under the label, was a second layer of writing in someone else's hand. Sharper. Tighter. For Adrian. Use if she talks. Everything stopped. Evans reached for the box, carefully turning over more tapes. Half of them had the same note. I thought Sam was being manipulated, I said, my voice trembling. But this is different. This was a full operation. Blackmail, Cross murmured. Insurance policy. And Sam you, I whispered. That's what he meant. If she ever does, it'll destroy her. Cross looked around. We need to collect all of this. If Adrian thinks these tapes are gone, he might panic. That gives us leverage. Evans nodded. We'll clone everything, keep the originals intact. Then we let Adrian believe the house was burned or raided. And then? I asked. Cross looked me dead in the eyes. Then we bring this bastard out of the shadows.